News came out this morning that iconic, not just action star director or action star actor, but also legitimate world-class martial artist, Chuck Norris, has passed away at the age of 86. As they write in the Hollywood Reporter, the martial arts master also was a big screen action hero in Lone Wolf McQuade, Missing in Action, Delta Force, and of course, many, many things more. He was in Walker, Texas Ranger for I believe that show ran for 9 seasons.
Yeah.
9 seasons. It is, he was 86 years old, and Rob, you could tell he was, of course, he was getting up there. He was getting older, and at some point, Chuck Norris isn't afraid to die. Death is afraid of Chuck Norris dying, and the day has come. And look, I'm not going to pretend he was one of the great thespians of our time.
Certainly not.
But I think it's fair to say that he literally defined what the modern idea is of the action hero. I mean, he was really it. He kind of set the template for what an action hero is, that, Sylvester Stallone and Schwarzenegger and Jean-Claude Van Damme and others would come to kind of fill their shoes. And, in that way, he became an influence on the entire movie industry for decades and decades and decades and decades. And, when he made I think his big screen debut was Enter the Dragon, 1972.
Yeah.
Him and Bruce Lee, a lot of people don't realize this. They didn't just appear in a movie. They were legit off-screen friends. They would talk martial arts all the time. They would teach each other their own techniques. And, and then it was Bruce Lee had said, listen, we've got this role for, the gunslinger, the guy who's coming for me. I think you should be perfect for it. He had to put on weight for it because his body frame was a lot smaller, a little bit closer to Bruce Lee's. And no, I want a guy who's bigger. So he put on 20 pounds of muscle and became a living meme. The Chuck Norris memes are the greatest ones of all time. And look, elephant in the room. I know in his last couple of decades, he became a little bit grandpa, it's time to go to bed. I remember during the Mitt Romney, Barack Obama campaign, when I saw him get on TV and said, if I'm remembering it correctly, and he said, if Barack Obama gets elected again, we will be condemning our children to 1,000 years of darkness. I'm like, really? 1,000 years of darkness? But you know what? Whatever. Who cares? I love seeing him on screen. Even when he was he did a smaller part in The Expendables. I remember he showed up and they made some Chuck Norris jokes about it too. And he's in it. It's it was just awesome. He was just that guy. In a world where you get a lot of these on-screen martial art action heroes, it's pretty cool to see a guy who is a legit world champion. Guys like him, also guys like Jackie Chan, things like that. He defined the role. You know what I mean? He defined the role of action hero. And he lived a great life, lived to 86, but it is kind of weird, Rob, thinking that we now live in a world without Chuck Norris. It's kind of weird. Anyway, Rob.
No, John. Chuck Norris now lives on an existence away from us.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah.
So look, you look back at it, obviously Missing in Action, Delta Force, Walker, Texas Ranger. You look back at the career of Chuck Norris today. What are the things that stand out to you?
Well, when I was a kid, the first Chuck Norris movie that came out that I remember was a movie called Good Guys Wear Black. And I remember there was a poster of him jumping into the windshield of a car. And I remember it came out in 78. So I was 11 or something. And I made my dad take me to see Good Guys Wear Black. And I loved it. I thought it was the greatest thing because I hadn't really seen a martial arts movie in the theater back then. And, my dad thought it was kind of silly, but we had fun watching it. But then in the 80s, I've always thought of Chuck Norris, and I mean no disrespect when I say this, as kind of he's like the Walmart action hero. He never got a movie when Steven Seagal. I remember when Above the Law that came out, but Steven Seagal got to be in movies like Under Siege where he starred. And that was a big budget movie that Andy Davis, who directed The Fugitive, directed. And he was also, and he had a small part in like Executive Action with Kurt Russell. So he got to be in a few A-list movies. But Chuck Norris in the 80s was like Cannon Films poster boy. He was in things like Invasion USA. And you already mentioned things like Delta Force and Missing in Action. And, they made sequels. And those movies didn't exactly have the biggest budgets, but they were fun. Like, we all saw them. And more importantly, they were on cable incessantly. So you'd watch those movies over and over and over again because they were on. And there was something very, I don't know, sort of Midwestern American about Chuck Norris with his beard. I mean, like that picture is, I don't know if that's Walker, Texas Ranger, but I remember when he did like Lone Wolf McQuade. And I mean, I just grew up watching Chuck Norris. And yeah, okay, so he became kind of this crazy right-wing Christian at the end of his life where he was railing against LGBTQ issues and our black president and things like that. And like you put it so succinctly, he was kind of like, okay, Grandpa, it's time to go to bed now. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I saw Good Guys Wear Black in a movie theater with my dad. And I did see Invasion USA in a movie theater. And I make no apologies for watching Chuck Norris in the 80s. And look, we'll never see the likes of him again. There's never going to be a guy like Chuck Norris again.
You can say that about a lot of people. It's often said there'll never be another whatever. And quite often there are other versions of that person come along. But it's true. There will never be another Chuck Norris. And, we talk about like, I look at him and it's like the guy who really defined the role of the action star. But by the way, you go back to that fight in Enter the Dragon.
Oh, yeah.
And that is still today one of the most epic things you'll ever watch. like 50 years later, it's still like the most epic thing you'll ever see. And it's just kind of surreal seeing like Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee on screen together. But he truly, listen, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say the dude is an institution.
Yeah, he really is.
A smaller corner of the facility, maybe, but Chuck Norris was in and of himself, in a way, an institution and kind of represented an entire corner of the movie industry in a way.
Yeah.
And what a career, what a legacy. And again, when you got the whole world who makes up these memes about your greatness, it says something about your legacy, I think. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Factor. Hey guys, you know how it is. Between the daily live show, tracking the latest box office numbers, and planning our next movie meetup in the van, my schedule gets absolutely hectic. Now, somewhere between the first warm weekend and realizing short season is getting close, eating well stops just being optional. Factor is how we stop letting a busy schedule be our excuse. They provide fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs. I had their smoky Gouda mac and shredded beef after a long editing session last week on that Spider-Man Rights video I did, and it was amazing. So whether you're looking for calorie smart options or the new Muscle Pro collection, which is perfect if you're getting back into a workout routine, they have 100 rotating weekly meals to keep things fresh. And the best part? They are always fresh, never frozen, and ready in just 2 minutes with zero prep and zero stress. I love it, and I think you will too. So head over to factormeals.com/Campea50off and use the code Campea50off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Make healthier eating easy with Factor. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Chuck Norris has passed away at the age of 86. When you look back on his career, what are the things you're going to remember fondly? Maybe it's some of the great little cameo things he would do. Maybe it's one of his bigger, more iconic films. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show Podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.